Hey, I'm playing with some bind-offs today. This is a standard bind-off and it's not very stretchy, and I would like something that more matches the cast-on edge as far as stretchiness goes. So I bound off a little bit with a standard bind-off, and then right here I'm using a suspended bind-off variation, and I'll show you how that one works, and then I'll show you one other bind-off after that. So here's where I was before. Okay, I'm in the middle of binding off, and this is the suspended bind off variation. So I go and I knit this next stitch just like normal, but instead of taking it off, I'm going to leave it on the left needle while I do this little maneuver to pull over and off, and then I let everything go. So I'm just holding that moment in suspense. So here's the knit stitch, but I'm not going to take it off my left needle. And now I'm pulling the other stitch over, and then I let everything come off the left needle. Do that a couple more times for you. Knitting my stitch, coming through, don't take it off the left needle. Pull the other stitch over, let everything off. And let's do one more. I'm knitting, not taking it off the left needle, over, off, and everything off. So it's just putting a little more yarn into the stitches by waiting to take that last bit off. The other bind off I wanted to show you, I just learned, and it's called Russian bind off, and it goes like this. So I knit the first stitch, and then I put it back on the left needle. I'm going into this stitch, or just never taking my needle out of it, and going into the second stitch knitwise, and then knitting and coming through both of those stitches. See? Let's do that again. I put the stitch from my right needle back on the left, and then I get the next stitch, just going in knitwise like normal, and then I knit it and I pull it through both stitches and off. Back to this needle, and I'm going, you could take it out and put it back in, but there's really no point. And then go into that second stitch knitwise, just like normal. I think I've just split my yarn, so hold on, let me redo that. There we go. Knit, come through both, off, put it back over here, go into the next stitch, whoops, knitwise, knit it, bring it through both, back to this needle, go into that one, knitwise, bring it through both, whoops, I missed, let's try again, and off. Oh, here we go. Into the second stitch, bring it through both, and off. So see how it looks just a little bigger already? And I'm going to go down a few more stitches, and then we're going to take a look at both of them and compare. I went looking for a new bind off because I got my parquetry cowl back and I decided to add more to it. So I ripped off the bind off and I added more to the body of the cowl. And then I wanted a bind off that was going to match my super stretchy cast on, which was just a long tail cast on, but I must have been very relaxed when I did it. And so the suspended bind off wasn't quite stretchy enough. And so I went looking for something else, and this is the one I found. Do you need me to explain this again? Stitch goes to the left needle, and then I go into the second stitch, and I knit them off together. I'm going to move that over again. Go into the second stitch, knit them off together. I'm just going to put this over here so I don't have to think about it. So let's go back to the beginning. Here's my standard bind off, and here's the cast on edge, which is stretchier than my bind off. Here's my suspended bind off, which has a little more stretch to it, but not as much as the cast on edge. And then here is my Russian bind off, and that has quite a bit more stretch. So maybe not as much as the cast on, but definitely more than here, and way more than here. So if you need a stretchier bind off, go ahead and give that a try. I hope this helps.